سفير عراقي عبد الكريم كعب يرو أوشكي مرة الفيدري باما إزديا تجيب خيرات يا فيدري واقا واقا أوشكي إيه بايفا كي بيجي.
It is now my honor to welcome His Excellency Mr. Abdul Karim Kaab, Ambassador of the Republic of Iraq to Australia. His Excellency joins us today as we remember the victims, honor the survivors, and stand together in support of justice, dignity, and peace.
I will try to speak in this very painful day. Distinguished guests, sisters, brothers, peace, mercy, and the blessings of God be upon you all. My heartfelt greetings to the esteemed Yazidi community in Australia, to the families, especially to the families of the martyrs, the resilient survivors, and every heart that bears the pain of Sinjar. We gather today on the painful anniversary of the Sinjar genocide to renew our pledge to those who are still awaiting justice and reparations. On 3rd of August 2014, it wasn't only Sinjar that fell. Actually, humanity itself fell. International terrorists from the ISIS gangs committed a documented act of genocide against the Yazidi people of Iraq, which involving killings, enslavement, displacement, siege, starvation, and the systematic destruction of an ancient religious Iraqi identity. I stand before you today representing the Iraqi people and the government of Iraq, and to state clearly, this wound is a wound shared by all Iraqis. Today, no one doubts or questions the genocide committed against the Yazidis by the terrorist entity ISIS. As the United Nations, through its International Commission of Inquiry and UN investigative team, UNITAD, has confirmed to the Security Council that ISIS committed genocide against Yazidis. This team worked for 7 years and gathered over 6 million pieces of evidence, including documents, testimonies, and mass graves, and presented them to both the Iraqi government and international courts. Based on these evidences, convictions have been handed down in Iraq and in the world. The first verdict regarding the genocide of the Yazidis was issued in Germany. Distinguished guests, Sinjar would not have been liberated were it not for the blood and sacrifices of Iraqis from central and southern Iraq. All Iraqi armed forces fought shoulder to shoulder and fully supported by the Iraqi people until Sinjar was liberated in November 2015. This liberation sent a clear message. Iraqis are united, and they will not allow terrorism to divide the people of the same nation. Following liberation, the goal was to protect those who remained and restore normal life through, firstly, security, as our security forces deployed to ensure a safe and dignified return. Secondly, through reconstruction, the government of Iraq allocated funds for clearing mines and rebuilding schools, hospitals, and infrastructure. And thirdly, through the return of the displaced people. We are working with the regional government and international organizations to facilitate the return of every family to their home and land. We know that reconstruction of a building, of a stone structure, is easier than healing a human heart. Therefore, the Iraqi government's efforts have proceeding along, I can say, three tracks: through legislation and compensation, enacting the Yazidi Female Survivors Law, Law number 8 in 2021, which recognized the atrocities as genocide. It represents both an act of recognition and an act of reparation, redress. It gives salaries, a plot of land, employment opportunities, and both physical and psychological and medical care for the survivors and for the people of Sinjar. The government is currently working to expedite its full implementation and allocate the necessary budget despite the extremely difficult circumstances Iraq is facing. The second track was the recovering abductees. So the Iraq government established the General Directorate for Survivors Affairs, which headed by a lady from Yazidi community, which works hand in hand with the Office for Yazidis Abductees Affairs in the Iraqi Kurdistan region. Through security and diplomatic efforts, we succeeded in bringing back hundreds of women and children. However, the mission is not over. The fate of hundreds still missing. Missing persons remains a debt we owe, we, Iraqi government, and the international community. And we will continue until the last abductee is returned to their family. The third track was justice and accountability. The government has brought perpetrators before the Iraqi judiciary, and we have utilized evidences provided by UNITAD to hold them accountable, ensuring that no criminal escapes punishment. Distinguished guests, we are gathering here today on the Australian soil. So I must highly commend the contributions made by the government and people of Australia in assisting Iraq to defeat ISIS, and then in empowering and training the Iraqi armed forces. I also wish to acknowledge the Australian welcoming of hundreds of Yazidi survivors and the provision of security and stability for them in this friendly country. Gestures we regard as a form of redress for these victims. We particularly commend the Australian Parliament's recognition and condemnation of the crimes committed by the terrorist ISIS entity against Iraqi Yazidis, crimes it has described as atrocious. And we hope it will go further to characterize them for what they truly are, an act of genocide against an authentic, peaceful Iraqi community. We thank Australia, both government and people, for the financial and the humanitarian support provided through the United Nations and relief organization to assist displaced persons in Duhok camps and to rebuild Sinjar. Dear sisters and brothers, I stand among you today, lighting a candle of hope, not merely one of sorrow. I am with you in heart, mind, and spirit regarding the atrocious crimes you have endured. I promise in my capacity as ambassador of Iraq, to listen to any request you may have and to convey it to the relevant Iraqi authorities for their consideration and appropriate action. The Iraqi government regards the cause of the Yazidis as a matter of state importance. Sinjar is incomplete without its people. Iraq is incomplete without the Yazidis. May there be mercy for our martyrs, freedom for the missing, healing for the wounded, and patience for you all. Thank you for your steadfastness. And thank you to this community that carries the voice of Iraq and Australia. Peace, mercy, and the blessings of God be upon you all. Thank you.